hyperinflated assets. We see hyperinflated currencies, which I'll show you in a moment. And the destruction of the value of that currency as a result. The average price of a house bought in San Francisco rose by $200,000 in the first half of 2018, the largest 6-month increase in history. The largest 6-month increase in history, far surpassing the dot-com boom, the housing bubble. Imagine, with all of the chaos taking place during that housing crisis, where you had so much fraud. Well, in this period of time, the houses increased even faster. The bubble is growing at a rate we've never seen before. The average house in the city limits now costs $1.6 million, $1.62 in fact. Condo prices rose by $71,000, starting at $1.2 million for a condo. For a condo, average house. Well, some people think it's normal. I don't. Because if you take the average salary of the person who works there and the average price of a house, and you compare the two, the numbers are just completely out of whack. That's how it should be. In the general vicinity, yes, there's always going to be more affluent neighborhoods and lower income neighborhoods. That's normal. But you can't say, okay, if I look at this area and I could see that there is just simply not affordable to anybody except for a small group of people or people who moved in, 100 years ago and they've been passing this house down generation to generation. It's ridiculous. And then we have this. Speaking of this area of the US, what data scandal? Facebook stock notches an all-time high, shrugging off the user privacy woes. It gained 5%. Zuckerberg is now the third richest man in the world. You look at this and think to yourself, they admitted to giving people's information that they said was safe, giving it away to corporations. It's still happening today. And nothing at all was changed in this company. They're still doing it. They're still working with the government completely and entirely, sharing information. That's always going to go on. And also they're giving it to the corporations to make a few bucks as well. This company, you could argue how it started, but today it's an arm of the government. It's an arm of the government. Get used to it. Google, it's an arm of the government. All of these big social medias. Now, that doesn't mean that a company can't get extremely big without some sort of government support. There's a lot of these unicorn companies. I'm sure all of them didn't start as government entities. But if they become very powerful, they eventually will be part of the government's repertoire, if you want to use that word. Now look at this. California. They decided to increase some taxation. Well, what did that do? They pushed a whole bunch of people out. It's the long article here, but essentially passed an income tax hike on the wealthy people. Wealthy people just move. You're not going to be able to tax people and actually get the money. In fact, if that was me, I'd be gone. I'd be gone. If there wasn't a way to get around it somehow, I'd be out. There's only so much people can take. Look at what's happening in Illinois right now, Chicago specifically. I've heard countless people in Illinois or Chicago that have told me the prices that they pay for their property tax. It is absurd. And I know some parts of Illinois are worse than others, but I've definitely heard from a lot of people in Chicago, and they're saying the prices are crazy. They've given me the numbers. It's truly a robbery. And some people will say, well, yeah, but this tax is lower. That tax is lower than this state. It doesn't matter. the amount, the total value, what you're left with at the end of the month, when your payments on mortgages and cars and tax this and tax that, sales tax and gas tax and so on, you're left with crumbs. It's robbery. Hundreds of thousands of Americans stand to be denied new or renewed passports under a law that requires the IRS and the State Departments to deny passports to Americans with more than $51,000 in overdue tax debt. I'd like to know what you think about this, that if people don't pay their taxes, should they be allowed to travel? That's what's happening. It's a way that within a few years, your passport's going to expire. When that passport expires, you can't travel. What do you think? I'd like to know what you think. I think you'd probably guess what I have to say about that. A growing number of hotels have become, by the way, the robots and automation section here, very quickly going to go through it. A growing number of hotels have begun employing robots to deliver towels, toothpaste, and other items to guests. In addition, viewed primarily as a novelty to appeal to the tech-loving travelers. Yes, right now, but even hospitals have started to use this for similar things. You've seen the delivery services trying to bring that. Hey, why do you need a human individual to do it? That's what they're saying. I can just get a robot. The person sits in one room and they just stuff something inside that robot, punch in the room number, and it can go on a special track and it finds its way to that room, and that's it. Why pay an individual that salary to go around from room to room when you could just do this? It'll probably be more efficient. That's what they're saying anyway. High-skilled white-collar work, machines can do that too. And this article is about that. But I just want to say that, we've seen this a lot with the robo-advisors that are going on in the financial industry right now. Essentially, you just program what you want in there. You click a few buttons, multiple choice, answer a few questions, and then this computer algorithm is going to be able to take care of you. You don't need that human anymore. You just have a computer program that you see. You log into your app, you can log in on the web, and you go in, and it is able to, determine which investments you need to have. And then we get to this. Complete destruction of the currency is possible, and it is possible today. Fish or flour. Barter is the new currency in collapsing Venezuela. If you want to know when the value of a currency has reached zero, you can see, perfect example, they're using barter. There is no value left in this currency, because nobody's going to bring around wheelbarrows worth of garbage cash when it takes a month's salary for a coffee, basically. What's the point? This is what's happening right now in Venezuela. These people are suffering because their currency is completely worthless. The reason why that's all happening, I'm not discussing that. Some people get me mixed up when I mention this. I'm only looking at a devalued currency, how that affects the people. If they were holding on to real assets, which generally a lot of people can't do because they don't have the money in the first place, I understand. If they were holding on to real assets, that would have maintained value through this hyperinflation. Unfortunately, many people, they never had that chance. And they hoped for something better. But it never came. If you found this video informative, please give me a thumbs up. When you give me a thumbs up, it helps to support the channel. And if you want the best financial education that you are not taught in schools, these two books have it all. There are links in the description of this video. You can check out for yourself. Take care.